Writer-director Imogen Thomas's debut feature, Emu Runner, is an elegiac exploration of grief and loss, told simply and somewhat elegantly on a modest budget, exploring the impact a mother's death has on an indigenous family living in the isolated New South Wales town of Brewarrina, some 500 miles northwest of Sydney. And in its gentle and affecting way, this lovely movie is a story about respecting difference as Thomas delves into the underlying racial tensions in regional Australia and the significance of traditional customs in modern Indigenous culture. 8-year-old Nagemba girl Gemma, a clever, mischievous child with a love of intrigue, must find a way to cope with the unexpected death of her mother while walking in the bush with her kids. Emma is played by newcomer Ray Kai Waits with disarming presence in a performance that will stay in your heart for days. As she struggles with her mother's death, Gem finds solace in the company of a wild emu, unwittingly connecting with her mother's traditional totem animal. And while she's the school's fastest runner, no matter how hard she tries, she can never catch up with her emu as she chases her through the bush. Her attachment becomes obsessive. She visits the emu constantly, feeds at her school lunches, and begins to steal extra food for it, skipping classes and quickly attracting the attention of a new social worker in town, Heidi, played with nervous intensity by Georgia Blizzard, who's convinced Gem's family is failing to look after her. Her father, JJ, played with his usual commendable skill and empathy by Wayne Blair, is also trying to manage his grief, left to raise Gem, her 15-year-old sister Valerie, and her 17-year-old brother Eka on his own. And while JJ's commitment to his family doesn't waver, the pressures to make ends meet and hold the family together are exacerbated by the antics of his older son and Gem's truancy and stealing. Eka gets himself and Gemma in hot water over his attraction to a white classmate, as the social worker and local copper Stan, the reliable Rob Carlton in good form, misread these signs out of gullibility and the usual preconceptions. Emu Runner is a charming but never sentimental story. The bird that becomes the centre of Gem's universe might be flightless, but is a symbol of speed, agility and grace, always moving forward, as Gem must in the end.
It's very affecting, this film, isn't it? It explores so many elements of that Indigenous connection to the land.
Yes.
And that totemic animal. Really, it's just lovely. And is it Ray Kai Waits? She's so lovely.
Fabulous, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's still at school. She's never acted before. I mean, it's a very well constructed performance and very well directed, really.
Yeah, I thought it was too. And apparently, I ran into Wayne Blair the other day and he said it was made on the smell of an oily rag. You know, and it just goes to show what heart can do to a movie if you make it with, you know, sort of pure intentions.
Yes, well, it reminded me actually of the very early days of filmmaking in this country during the so-called Renaissance of film in the late 60s, early 70s. It was kind of known by everybody who worked in it, and I was one, as picnic filmmaking. You used your friends as extras and sometimes as supporting characters, and you brought your own lunch. And
I thought Mother made the sandwiches.
That's right. And this again, I gather, was very much made like that as well. A lot of the locals are characters in the film, and while the acting's a bit sort of, you know, a bit strained at times, they're so authentic as people, as characters in it, that it works really very effectively. And there's some lovely music played by them as well.
Yeah.
I just thought this was just terrific. It really completely hooked me in. It was beautiful.
And it's sort of, it's nice the way it brings in the misconceptions of, you know, the white mob around them.
But it's done gently. So it's not done in a harsh, abrasive way. No. It's just sort of gently alluded to at times. And just a terrific little movie.
What are you giving it?
I'm going to give this 4.5.
I'm giving it 4.
You must really miss her. It's always there on my mind if I'd just been fast enough.